What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Join Dota League Season 3. We have another best of 2 with Isurus Gamer. We're going to be following them as they go to face up against Not Today. The game only started 20 minutes early, but this is going to be a best of 2, and it's from the Division 1 of America from the JDL. As for your casters, I am Mike Loris, and still on the line, I've got Grandis V.
Yeah, it was quite a delay getting into this series as we had the Dota 2 network go down, the lobby wasn't up till late anyway, and yeah, just a lot of things going wrong. I'm not actually sure which server they decided on. I think this is South America, but I can't be sure. But either way, Isurus Gaming are going to be fighting up against Not Today. We already saw Isurus once before. They looked pretty good in Game 1, then Game 2. They just never got their stuff together. I think that's mostly attributed to their draft. They went for things that, honestly, I would say are not very strong. They just didn't mesh together very well.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, game number 1, it was a much closer game than the others, but even like going up against Not Today, I think Not Today are just slightly favored in this matchup, just being an overall stronger team over Isurus. So either Isurus are going to have to pull something out of that, pull something a little bit weird and then win that way, or just play a lot more solid. And the solid play that we've seen from Isurus was okay, but nothing exactly to write home about.
Yeah, honestly, I'm hoping that they do pull something out of the hat, because that's always when it's most fun to watch Isurus, because they bring a lot of different heroes to the table that you usually don't get to see. Fullback's a great meepo player. They have plenty of other heroes that we don't get to see very often. I'm pretty sure that they have run with the Tusk before, and just some other very interesting things that we don't get to see very often. We saw a Sniper being banned out against them, and against any other team, that would seem ridiculous and pretty much a throwaway ban, but honestly, I would not put it past Isurus picking up a Sniper or something off the wall like that.
Yeah, I'd love to see them do something a little bit differently to catch Not Today off guard. But for now, they're going to start rather vanilla. Oh my god, Faces Void, Scarith Mage. When have we seen this combination before? Answer, pretty much every single game when both of these heroes are available. I mean, the Scarith Mage ultimate synergizes great with the Faces Void ultimate, and also the Scarith Mage does pretty well versus the Brewmaster. Really can't ask for much more from your opening draft. These two heroes, though, don't go great with Meepo. Faces Void is okay, but nothing fantastic.
They do go pretty well with Sniper, though, drawing away the focus to the front lines. This is actually the first 2 picks that we did see the second phase Sniper ban versus Isurus, so I don't know, depending on what Not Today pick up, if it is going to be the same exact pick that we saw already. I can't remember, what was it? It was not the Centaur. Yeah, Brewmaster and Centaur are 2 good heroes at getting into the Sniper's face, and I doubt we'll see him. But Not Today. They start out their draft with 2 very good initiators. They can make a lot of havoc happen in the mid-game if they get their Blink Daggers up at a decent timing. Whether they're able to do that or not is up to how they lane it and how well they do in these lanes.
Yeah, 2 really bulky heroes for Not Today, whereas Isurus, they're a little bit softer. Faces Void can get there if he gets enough items, but it's generally the BKB that keeps him safe, not the health pool. We're going to be seeing some pretty standard bans. Not Today going to kick out the Invoker. Again, gotta respect LDS's Invoker. The Sunstrikes are amazing. And then the Viper is overall a highly prized hero in this game in general and between South American teams in general as well. Whereas Isurus, they're going to, looks like, protect their Faces Void pick a little bit with this Vengeful Spirit ban. Could also be preparing for a Batrider pickup down the road and kicking out that Vengeful Spirit, which would make a good amount of sense. I mean, right now they have some pretty good answers to what Not Today are packing, and that's just a lot of health and a lot of burst damage. When you get the silence on either one of these heroes, then they're pretty heavily crippled.
Yeah, I'm probably going to expect them to pick up another support to go along with that Scarith Mage. Shadowsharm is outside of the pool, but Earthshaker is still available. Then again, they could be looking for the offlaner, the Batrider, as you already mentioned, and Tidehunter is still in the pool if they want to take that up. 2 really big ultimates that are pretty hard to mess up. Chronosphere, one of the better things at catching out a Brewmaster, and if you get the Brewmaster inside a Ravage, follow up with the Ancient Seal, it should be fairly easy to burst him down before he gets his ulti off. Isurus are taking a lot of time with this last ban, but it's not unconventional as we do have 2 of the picks for them to think about. The first ban as well as the first pick here. The ban's going to be Pugna, and the pick is still yet to be seen. The Pugna ban was not something that I was really expecting.
Yeah, I mean, it is a pretty decent Deathball hero with the Centaur as well as Brewmaster. Having nice bodies to hide behind is always great for Pugna, but Not Today, they're not at all into a pushing comp, so I don't know if Pugna was even on the table for them. So regardless, we are going to be seeing that hero kicked out right now, and Isurus, they're going to take this time to pick up an Ember Spirit, so possibly just trying to outmaneuver the Not Today side with the high mobility of the Faceless Void and Ember Spirit. They'll have to deal with Blink Daggers, so it'll be a very much so cat and mouse kind of game with Blink Daggers and ability, mobility. Like, ability, mobility, yeah, that does make sense. So it's just a matter of who initiates onto who in order to determine who will ultimately get the edge in the initiation. Because both of these teams have quite a bit of initiation. It's just a matter of who jumps in and who gets actually hit with the clap, with the stun from the Centaur, and then who gets bursted down in the end before they can get their skills off. It seems like that's where this lineup is going to come down to.
Yeah, I think so as well. Ember Spirit combos pretty well with the Faceless Void, although they don't have any other heroes to buff up his own damage when you do get your 2 damage items, namely the Battle Fury and Daedalus. Online for the Ember Spirit, if you're able to catch out like 3 people inside the Chronosphere, you can do a whole lot of damage inside that Chrono duration with just 2 Sleight of Fists is usually enough if you get a crit.
Yeah, and if you could do that, then even though Not Today are still very tanky, it will be brought down fairly quickly. I mean, if the Ember Spirit does have a good time, that is. Ember Spirit versus Brewmaster is a Brewmaster-favored lineup, probably 70-30 towards Brewmaster. Ember Spirit can survive, especially once he gets to that level 6 mark, but fighting up against that Drunken Haze plus the threat of Clap early on is dangerous. And oh my god, guys, it is going to be a little bit of Sand King. I had to play a little bit more because everyone was rioting at the lack of do-do-do, but we got Sand King in the game now, as Not Today pick up their 3rd melee hero and a rather passive-oriented support.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of want to see a Timbersaw coming out from Isurus. As much as we don't see that hero very much, and as little as he synergizes with the Faceless Void, as you said, it's a fairly passive laning stage for Not Today with the Sand King, unless they pick up something that can set up for him, which honestly there's not very much left. Wraith King maybe, but even then that's another melee strength hero that you really don't want to have up against a Timbersaw. I could see a Timber really making some things happen across this map, depending on what the other support is especially. If it's another support that can't really zone out the Timber, I'd really like to see that pickup.
Yeah, that'll be fantastic for Isurus. Against strength heroes, Timbersaw does get just that much better, but it looks like instead for now they're going to go for Jakiro, so a little bit of pushing, a little bit more team fight control. Another thing to throw into that Chronosphere, and also the fact that Jakiro is actually really good against melee heroes. Liquid Fire, if you hit it onto 2 or 3 heroes, is fantastic, and when they're all melee, it's a lot easier to do so. Also, Ice Path and Dual Breath, the exact same way. It's easy to hit multiple people with that skill. It's still available for them, the Timbersaw, and they could go for it as their last pick, and I think it'll actually be just a really great pickup for them. Despite the fact that Faceless Void, Timbersaw don't really play well together, I feel like the advantages of the Timbersaw by far outweigh the disadvantages of having the Timbersaw and Faceless Void on the same team.
Yeah, I would say so as well. I think they're going to wait until they see what the other heroes they're going to lane up against this Timbersaw are going to be. The Sand King, probably the only one that's going to be in that safe lane tri-lane, is I'm going to expect Brewmaster mid and Centaur off lane. But yeah, I think the biggest weakness of Timbersaw as an offlaner is he's not the best at initiating. I mean, the Chakram's nice for the slow and all, but it's nothing compared to your other top-tier offlaners that are currently in Pole, Centaur, and Tide most noticeably. Yeah. I don't know, it's going to be very interesting to see what Isurus are actually going to pick up for their offlane. Other than the Timbersaw, I'm not sure what else they'd consider. Tidehunter honestly isn't a bad pick for them if they want to go for it. The next pick for Not Today is going to be a Bane. Going to be very useful up against the Faceless Void as well as Lockdown versus the Ember Spirit. Not something that can really go amiss, and it also makes up for the fact that Sand King's Burrow Strike is abysmal, because Nightmare from Bane is pretty easy to line up and will allow Sand King to get in range for his disable. I think this is a good pick, although usually you don't see Bane without Mirana.
Yeah, and that's probably going to be a nice pickup for Not Today. Again, their last hero, pretty much the only criteria that Not Today has to hit with their last hero is not a melee hero. When you have 3 melee heroes, it's pretty bad, but 4, it just gets so much worse. So if Not Today pick up that Mirana, then that'll be a really nice, safe pick for them. Bane, Mirana, Sand King is a solid tri-lane, and really they'll have a lot of power in that mid-game. Pretty much where Isurus want to be fighting as well, but Not Today have a good amount of stuns, and again, the bulk that they have is not to be underestimated. Whereas for Isurus Gaming, still with this Bane pickup, Timbersaw doesn't get a whole lot worse. The stuns are rather close range from Not Today until the Sand King gets his Blink Dagger, until Centaur gets his, or Sand King gets more levels of Burrow Strike, stuff like that. But for Isurus Gaming, they're going to get banned out from them, the Venomancer, while they themselves take the Silencer out. I mean, Silencer would have been pretty good against Ember Spirit as well as Faceless Void, but again, I don't know if this Silencer is really appropriate. I think Isurus Gaming might be respecting the Silencer a little bit too much in both their picks and their bans.
Yeah, I think so as well. They might have been setting up for a Tidehunter, but no, it's going to be a Clockwork. It synergizes decently well with Jakiro as well as Scarith Mage. Keeping somebody in place for the Mystic Flare as well as the Macropyre is always pretty solid. And Clockwork also an offlaner that's very good against melee heroes. And if he catches out the Brewmaster, he's still going to be able to get off the split, but it might force him to use the split when he doesn't want to. And the Bane, Sand King, and Centaur, actually, now that I think about it, it's not the best Clockwork game, as Sand King can get out and S can the Brewmaster, but still, Centaur and Bane are not going to be immune.
In Clockwork, his cogs are going to be the most useful lane control tool for him, but if he does run into this Bane, Sand King, and, well, look at that, we called it Mirana tri-lane, then he's going to have a rough time, because cogs can only protect you so much. If the Sand King gets close enough for a Burrow Strike, then you're pretty much screwed, because at that point, Mirana and Bane are just going to walk you down. Bumping into them with the cogs is the best bet for the Clockwork, but against these ranged heroes from Not Today, that'll be a little bit difficult. Now, if Clockwork gets into a Centaur matchup, that'll be a little bit better for the Clockwork, but still not exactly the best, as Centaur versus other melee heroes usually does have a very easy time.
Yeah, I think in that lane, more or less the heroes are just going to farm. They might scuffle with each other a little bit, but I'm not sure they can actually trade blows very effectively. Once the creeps are gone, the Centaur needs to be careful, and before then the Centaur can play pretty aggressively up against the Clockwork, but that's probably your ideal matchup for the Clockwork, but then again, you probably don't want to have anything else going up against the Sand King, Bane, Mirana tri-lane, as that's a pretty potent one as far as locking heroes down. If you get Nightmare and don't toggle it off very effectively, you're probably going to die.
Alright guys, so we are going to be going into game number 1 we have between Not and Isurus. And, well, let's take a quick look at how these lanes are actually going to shape up, though I think this game they are relatively easy to predict. On the Not side, we got Mihawk going to play the Mirana, currently heading up towards top lane. He's going to be joined by Misko's Bane. Misoku's, for now, going towards the bottom lane as Sand King, though I expect the Sand King to be rotating up there as well, at least trying to get a couple of kills early on with that Bane Nightmare setup. Bottom lane, it is going to be Ewo on the Centaur, and then, of course, mid lane, it's going to be Smash's Brewmaster.
And on the Dire side, we are going to have Isurus Gaming with fullback, handling the Faceless Void. His other tri-lane members are going to be, well, not the Scarlet Mage, and the Jakiro is going to be played by Nidera. It is DDX playing on that Scarlet Mage, although he's going to be taking up support. Very interesting, actually. So the mid hero is going to be Papita on the Ember Spirit, and offlane is going to be handled by Dulce on the Clockwork. So it looks like we're going to be seeing DDX as a support this game. I guess it makes sense since Ember Spirit's a hero that you kind of want to have an individual player for, rather than pigeonholing him into a role. As Ember Spirit's a hero that needs some practice, at least for the combos with the chains as well as the Sleight of Fist, as well as just using the mobility to the best effect.
Yeah, so Isurus showing that they are, at the very least, a little bit versatile with who plays what on their team. LDS played the Tinker, as well as the... oh man, what else did he play?
He's played Invoker. Oh dear, what was his other hero?
We just
I
saw
can't
it.
for the life of me remember.
The delay was too long. He played mid. That was his role, LDS. He played the mid lane.
He was
and fullback
Brewmaster,
was
I think.
playing support.
Was he the Brewmaster? I think so. Okay, there we go.
Sure, we'll say he's Brewmaster.
Oh dear, I hate it when my brain just falls out from under me. But our matchup is going to be in the mid lane, Smash versus Papita. Ember Spirit versus Brewmaster, as aforementioned, is going to be favorable, especially with Misoku sitting in mid, with the Burrow Strike just threatening. If that lands on the Papita, Papita's more or less dead. I think that's wasted time for the Sand King, but it's going to be dual lanes, coming out from Not Today. It's going to allow Misoku to get a lot out of the jungle, which is nice for the Sand King, but then again, it's sacrificing some kill potential up top that they might have needed.
It's actually sacrificing a lot of kill potential, because unless they get the Nightmare on that Skywrath Mage, killing off fullback is going to be nigh impossible. You Nightmare him and try to fire an arrow, or just try to fire an arrow anyway. I mean, firing an arrow freehand, that'll probably miss, but if you Nightmare fullback to try to set that one up, then the Skywrath Mage is going to pull the Nightmare off, and then suddenly the Faceless Void is free. If they have the Sand King stun to set that up beforehand, then even if he does get the Nightmare pulled off, the Burrow Strike is most likely going to land. And also, the Sand King can't really put that much pressure onto Dulce down in the bottom lane. Like, if he gets this Burrow Strike, then maybe. Dulce dropping is pretty low. He will have a lot of restoration, so he can be just fine in this lane. But, yeah, I don't know about these dual lanes from Not Today. I feel like there's just no benefit to running the dual lanes, and just a lot that will be lost because they're not going to be doing something a little more conventional, especially since Bane has Brain Sap level 1. It'll put a little bit more damage onto the Jakiro, but setting up for this arrow of Mirana is going to take quite a long time.
Yeah, I actually really hate that choice from the Bane. I don't think there's a situation where you'd want to have Brain Sap level 1 unless you just need that little bit of extra damage. But they're going to go on to him with the Ice Path as well as the Concussion Shot landing. No follow-up from the Faceless Void, and Brain Sap going to keep him more or less healthy as Nadera is forced out. Probably going to have to south out.
Yeah, so lots of damage going both ways up on top. If Not Today had their Sand King in the area, then they could definitely take that fight. I guess the benefit is that Masoku does get to now jungle on the Sand King, though he will be pretty slowly leveling up to level 3, given that he's just going to be leveling off of pulls and not off of kills. Really, you want your Sand King to be involved in the first kill and maybe the second kill, and then you transition that into the jungle. I mean, that's obviously the perfect ideal Christmas land situation, but just slowly jungling him in the pulling spot is not going to be ideal for Not, as they are suffering quite a bit on this top lane because of their decision. Faceless Void is farming happily away, and now Smoke up top. They're going to go for most likely Miscall, though they throw the Arcane Bolt and the Concussive onto Mihawk. Obviously, you can't control that Concussive, but the Ice Path isn't even going to be thrown. Time Walk is still being held from the Faceless Void, and I expect him to go for the Time Walk prioritization, given that he has such long-range initiators at his side.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that Smoke. It did very little. There just wasn't a place for him to go. Yeah, very low probability kill on this top lane is they didn't have a silence, and this Jakiro is actually taking a deviation from the normal Jakiro build that we're seeing nowadays, just maxing out that Liquid Fire. We might see him back off into that later on, but for now, Liquid Fire as well as Ice Path are going to be what he favors. The arrow's going to land in Nadera as the Nightmare goes to fullback. I don't think they're going to get this gun on Nadera, but he is going to be dropped pretty low. The Nightmare actually toggled to Mihawk, unfortunately.
That was just a mess. I mean, they got the arrow onto the Jakiro with the Nightmare into the Faceless Void, and then the Nightmare on Mirana. Like that, it was just a whole series of events that did not go Not's way. And to be fair, they couldn't have gotten anything out of that anyway. Like even if they set up perfectly, just because whoever was not stunned up by the arrow would have pressured back the Not side just enough to let their allies survive. It's just not showing that they can't actually set too much up on this top lane with just these two heroes. Maybe if there was just one hero up here, then I would say this dual lane would benefit them a lot. Maybe they were anticipating a Clockwork solo top, but that's not really a prediction that you can make and be safe in making, and they're going to pay the price for it, as the Mystico and Mihawk, they're definitely falling behind. We'll take a quick look at the mid lane to see if Not have any other redeeming lanes. 15 for 2 versus the 26 for 5. As expected, Brewmaster is holding quite a lead, even though he hasn't even gone for Drunken Haze versus Pepita. Just the Brewmaster being a strength hero and being able to just run and clap, and he stole his salve! What a baller!
Okay, that's amazing. He denies it up, and I don't know, it might cost him a little bit. The Scarlet Mage pops his face in the mid, but yeah, steals that salve when he probably could have just smacked it, but I don't know, got himself a trophy and then a cheeky deny on it. Pepita pops the Flame Guard, but does not go for any chains. I don't know, even more lane loss in this mid lane. Bottom, Centaur is actually winning versus the Clockwork a lot better than I thought he'd be doing. 25 and 10 compared to 70 and 1 of the Clockwork. I thought the Clockwork would farm more in this lane, but I think that's mostly due to the fact that the lane equilibrium is the mid. They're going to chop the split onto Pepita. They only get the one boulder toss, and they don't throw him up in the air. They are going to have another boulder soon, and Pepita does not have his level 6, crucially missing that one level of experience. They might still be able to get the skill. Ice Path is not going to lock down the Earth Panda, and now the Centaur ultimate. Pepita is going to die. First blood going to be drawn at about 5 minutes in, and now Nadera going to get a lot of damage, although going to be pretty safe. Liquid Fire is going to keep Smash at arm's length.
That was the second time today where we saw heroes literally one experience away from a key ultimate. In the last game, it was Silencer at 599 out of 600 towards his global silence, and in this game, Ember Spirit so close yet so far to his Fire Remnants. If he had that, I don't know if he had enough mana to escape, so it probably wouldn't have made that much of a difference, but if he had that before Smash even went in, then Pepita would have been just fine, but sometimes the numbers just don't work out for you, and he's going to be severely punished as they do sit up for top lane now. They're going to back off for Mihawk and land a nice arrow into fullback. Let's see how the backtracks are. Looks like they're pretty much non-existent. However, the time walk out will secure him a little bit more space. Mihawk going to jump over the trees, needs 3 more right clicks with that poor man's shield, doing its job, and then the neutral creep deny. Fullback playing that one out pretty well.
Yeah, he abused the fog of that one tree that's just kind of awkwardly there to avoid one of the auto attacks. He got lucky on the backtrack, but then denying himself. It went as good as you can ask, as they do go onto bottom, it seems, is with the Clockwork chasing down the center. He's going to die very easily.
Some much needed help from the Scarlet Mage, as Clockwork was zoned out pretty heavily just by the Centaurs at a full level disadvantage versus the Centaur opponent, and he'll recover a little bit of this given that he has a free lane now, but now these supports are in the area and Jakiro has gone for 1 point Liquid Fire. He's actually going to instead prioritize his Ice Path. It's a little bit of an older Jakiro build. We don't really see that anymore. And they're also going to be hunting for Masoku, who's been untouched in this particular game. He's been stacking up and clearing the hard camp, but really Isurus, they're letting a Sand King farm away without any sort of contest whatsoever. And if you're doing that, it's not the worst, but it's certainly something that you could very easily put a stop to if you decide to. And they're going to find Masoku now. The hookshot is available. They're going to put down some cogs. Unfortunately, they're going to miss. But they're messing with Masoku a little bit. Now it's Ice Path lands. That could be the death of the Sand King, but he's going to Burst Strike down to the low ground. He'll be just fine. Isurus, they're going to waste a lot of time hunting after that Sand King, and they're going to find absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it's time that he's not going to spend farming, and they also blocked one of his camp spawns, which is annoying for the Sand King, but it's not going to delay his Blink Dagger that much. We're still going to see a very fast one coming out from Masoku. He's going to be forced back to base. But yeah, not a lot lost from that Sand King.
Really, these supports for Isurus, they're not getting that much done aside from one rotation down to the bottom lane, despite the fact that are not having the best lane up top. Their bottom lane, their middle lane, as well as their jungler are doing just fine. So Not are still getting quite a bit of gold, and that's going to lead to a very slight, but you know, there is a gold advantage in their favor. Experience is going the same way. They're just getting more out of these lanes, despite the fact that top lane isn't as powerful as it could be, as fullback does jump in. He doesn't have the Chronosphere just yet, but he does have support right behind him. And Dulce going to find Masoku, who's going to be silenced up, and with the battery assault, he will be easily brought down. Here comes Smash in the back with the clap and the split onto LDS. That'll be the death of the Skywrath Mage. In the meantime, fullback has hit his level 6 mark. He's going to try to take out this Bane before Nightmare or Brain Sap can kill anyone. Now fullback getting focused down by the Brewlings. However, a time walk down to the low ground will ultimately result in a 2-for-2. Two supports. Now Pepita hiding behind the trees, waiting for Smash to jump forward. There he is, getting off the Flame Guard and looking for a Fire Remnant jump forward perhaps, but killing off this Brewmaster is a very tall order. Ultimately, ultimates being traded. It's a 2-for-2 in the end with both of the supports going down. But Centaur on the bottom lane might go down solo to LDS, although fighting a Centaur in such close quarters is incredibly dangerous for the Skywrath Mage. He's going to go for it anyway. The Centaur is salving up, and oh, LDS, if he walks into the Centaur, he's going to regret it, because the Centaur is now at half HP, and the Stomp is there. Stomp is there with the double edge available. This is a very, very dead Skywrath Mage. Did not expect that salve, and he got punished for it. Centaur going to take a free kill down on bottom.
That's actually a pretty big kill for Iwas. That's going to put him very close to his Blink Dagger now. 2-1-0. He hasn't had a perfect game by any means, but he's farming well, and this is going to be a sub 10 minute Blink Dagger, I would say. I don't know, maybe not that fast. It might be just about 10 minutes since he has to go back to base now. But still, he's well on his way to bringing those Blink Daggers up for them. And I think not today. They're getting away with these melee heroes in lane, mostly due to the fact that the lanes from Isurus aren't that strong at all. And now we're going to the Blink Dagger on Brewmaster. He doesn't have ult for 60 seconds, but still Blink Clap is nothing to really scoff at. Yeah, let's see. Blink status on Sand King, nowhere closer, which is unfortunate for him.
Yeah, but that's fine, because Isurus, they're still not messing with the Sand King at all. Pepita hasn't made a single rotation down south, has barely made a rotation up north. He's been mostly just chilling in his lane, getting his phase boots up. Now he might be looking for Smash. He still has a nice opening where Smash does not have his ultimate. However, it seems like they definitely know about this. Pepita is going to not realize the fact that they're Moonlit shadowed up. And, well, they don't have any Blink Dagger on the Centaur just yet, but they're looking for LDS as Pepita's Invis Rune does run out. They could pretty swiftly kill off this Ember Spirit if they stun him up, and there's the clap in, but instantly Pepita jumps out. Very quick hands of that Ember. Top lane, they're also going to initiate on fullback, though. Dulce's there with the hookshot, but it comes a little bit too late as Misko now trapped in the cogs. He's going to try to put as much damage to Dulce as he possibly can, where Mihawk trying to dig him out, but that's not going to happen. Now Mihawk actually completely out of mana, and Dulce, still with the battery assault going, is going to run out of time, but he should be able to get this kill if he just right-clicks down the Mirana and then rocket flares him. There's the stick and the turnaround for Mihawk. Level 4 arrow, point blank, is going to get the kill on the Clockwork, but here comes Jakiro. Can this level 5 dragon kill off the Mirana? It'll be a tall order, as Mirana is going to hide in the trees and also has support incoming. Brewmaster is going to most likely use the split here, as he does jump in for the clap. Doesn't have enough mana for a split, but he pops his stick charges, then splits it out. Going to go for Nadera. Fullback's going to teleport in, but with another point blank range arrow, Mirana is going to collect 2 heroes off of this exchange. Not slowly but surely pulling ahead in this game. And their Sand King is still playing PvE. Now he has his Blink Dagger, so can actually fight with all 5 heroes. This is getting really bad for Isurus.
It is. Isurus, they just haven't been able to get enough to warrant how these lanes have gone for them. Fullback has had very little impact this game. He had that one Chronosphere, which is okay, but he's died twice, although one of those was denied to neutrals. He hasn't been able to farm very much either. Sitting at the same CS as Sand King is not what you want to have your Faceless Void be doing. Well, now triple Blink Dagger is up in the top lane, Ewo as well as Smash and Masoku, they can pretty much just take this. Just the threat of them blinking in is enough to keep them at arm's length. Pepita's pushing into the tier 1 tower in mid, but this is very slow pushes, with only phase on the Ember Spirit. And with all of his creeps dying, it's just not going to be enough. They lose their tier 1 tower up top, and I think they can defend this one in mid.
Yeah, I mean, they take that tier 1 tower very easily. Smash is going to be set up upon, but Fullback and Nidera, they don't have enough damage to kill off this Jakiro convincingly. They're going to open up with an Ice Path, which will ultimately miss. And now Fullback going to get gripped up. That's a level 6 from the Bane. Didn't expect that quite yet. Now the Burrow Strike and Epicenter to follow up. Faceless Void is going to drop very quickly. Nidera now on the run. There is no Blink Daggers quite yet on for the Jakiro, but the circle around from the Centaur, double edging him right in the face, is going to kill him off. 2 more down for Isurus as someone's teleporting in. Pepita's now in this fight, but he doesn't have a backup fire remedy. He's going to put some chains onto Iwo and then try to jump off to the right. Masoku going to blink forward for some body blocking action. Sandstorm is there. Pepita desperately trying to drink some water from his bottle. And he will survive for now as Masoku and Smash kind of in an awkward position, but they're going to be moonlit up and they should be able to just walk out fine. Dulce looking for a hookshot target, but he's completely surrounded. Mihawk going to spot him out, and now Dulce is still looking for a target. We'll find Iwo, but I don't think Dulce can actually do anything with this. Fullback going to come in, has a nice Chronosphere opportunity. He's going to go for Mihawk. Chronosphere is up before the leap can happen, but Mihawk, there's not enough damage. I think he's going to be leap out. Yeah, he will leap out just fine, although another Time Walker, so actually the Rocket Flare to kill him off. In the meantime, Ember Spirit's still going forward for the 2 blinkers. He's going to run straight into Smash, and he's out of mana now. The Ember Spirit could very well go down here. However, it seems like don't have any heroes in the area. Unfortunately for them, the Bane was a little bit too far behind. Iwo was a little bit too low on health, and unfortunately Masoku was a little bit too low on mana. So Isurus get out with getting the Mirana kill. It definitely could have gone a lot worse for Isurus, but still it wasn't very good for them. As now Brewmaster going to blink forward for LDS another time. The Stomp is going to land. It's another free kill for the Centaur Warrunner, and this is slowly but surely getting out of hand for Isurus.
It's just too much mobility for them to deal with. Ember Spirit jumps in, he's going to throw a Sleight of Fist, but that's not really a very safe place for him to be. Fiends are coming off cooldown in 1 second time. He can't really stand there. They have the Blink Centaur also inbound. He's looking for the Stomp, not going to find Pepita as he's positioned very defensively, and he'll be zoned out. He's actually going to run back in and then run it immediately away. Yeah, it's not a very safe place for this Ember Spirit to be. He now has backup in the form of Fullback, but Fullback, he doesn't have Chronosphere, and they can't really fight this. I don't know, jump in, Hoof Stomp, it's gonna be cancel casted. There we go, onto Pepita, now the Fiend's grip. Pepita probably going to die. They dropped the split for this as well, and just gonna right-click him down. It's on the sidelines. Iwo getting focused down by Scarlet Mage. The ulti is going to completely miss. So is the hook shot, but with the 4-staff forward by the Clockwork, they'll be able to get Iwo. They will throw the Clockwork up in the air, now looking for the Boulder Toss onto LDS. They're going to find DDX here, and DDX is going to fall. Clockwork, where is he? The Faceless Void is also inside the fray, but they have the Bane also here as now Smash rejoins himself. He has 6 charges and enough for one of his spells if he wants to throw it out. Not going to do it, however. Now they're caught in a double Ice Path with the double Cogs, and also Masoku jumps in here with the Epicenter. They're going to bring down, excuse me, the Clockwork, and also standing in the fire and the flames. Masoku, or Masako, not looking very healthy, and Looking Fire is going to take him down, and now the Jakiro, he's going to be fine. At the end of all of that, it's a fairly even exchange, but, you know, it started out very good for Not Today. It's still going to be favoring them.
Pepita looking for more, but he's going to run into a couple more heroes than he could actually take down, especially with no detection. Arrow will fly and hit an Ogre. Unfortunately for Mihawk, he was busy taking down a tower instead of helping out in that fight. Stomp will miss as Pepita does Fire Remnant jump out of there. Not today. They lose a couple heroes here and there. It could have gone so much better for them if Mihawk was actually in that fight. He was pushing down the tier 1 tower, which he ultimately did get, so I guess it's okay that he did so, but the Mirana was very close to that fight, but unwilling to actually help out. If they had that extra damage with an Arrow or Starstorm, that would have been just a clean sweep of Isurus heroes, but it's still going very well for Not. However, Smash is going to get silenced up, blown up in the Mystic Flare. Pepita, though, going to get a very short arrow, and that's going to be enough to kill him off. Misko does not have a Fiend's Grip for another 10 seconds. He does have a Nightmare, though. Nothing to really set up for, however. The Sand King is coming around, has a Burrow Strike, will use it onto LDS. No arrow follow-up just yet, but I think the right-click damage and Sandstorm damage will be enough to kill out the Scarlet Mage. It will. Dulce can lay some cogs. Misko is now trapped in a very precarious situation. Ice Path will miss as Mihawk trying to buy him some space, but yeah, this Bane going to run off to the north. In fact, Brain Sap trying to get him some HP. Fullback does have a Chronosphere. He doesn't really want to use it right now, but he's going to get stomped and then gripped. Bet he wishes he uses it now. Burrow Strike to kill him off. Now Nidera in a little bit of trouble as well. Another blink is going to come right soon for the Centaur, but it's going to be Mihawk on the top side who has the arrow first available. The tower is still fairly vulnerable, and Isurus, they're just bleeding heroes. Nidera is going to get Burrow Struck. The arrow to set up and fly will just barely miss. Mihawk hesitated on one cast of that. Now Masoku getting hit with the chains with the Fire Remnant coming back in. Pepita going to look for more. Is he, though? I mean, he has everything that he could possibly want to go back in, but going into all these tanky heroes and an Ewo that's full HP is just so dangerous for Isurus. They're going to lose their tier 1 tower slowly but surely. It's going to be defended for now, but I don't think they can continue to defend this. They're slowly but surely falling further and further behind in this game as the gold and experience graph both show that Not Today are benefiting a whole lot from these engagements.
Yeah, that last one wasn't as good as it could have been. It was 3 for 2 in the favor of Not Today. They were able to pick up a little bit more for this map. But yeah, they are also converting these into tower pushes, whereas the side of Isurus aren't actually able to put very much pressure on these towers. The tier 1 on mid and top are at about half, but that's not enough as fullback up top. They're potentially looking for a gank here. Masoku is channeling the epicenter. Now they run in with the Burrow Strike. They can follow up with Bane. Brain Sap, and that's all that she wrote. The Faceless Void could not react at all to that. And now, over in mid, Mihawk, he's going to get changed up. Is he able to get the leap off down to the low ground? No, he's going to leap towards the side. He's still going to survive, and now they're trying to jump down Papita. Papita's not going to be slowed down. Now jumping forward. Remnant's going to be enough to kill. Split comes out from the Brewmaster, trying to chase down the Jakiro. He's actually just going to right-click down the tower as he's going to lose his Centaur buddy. He'll get the tower, but at the cost of several heroes, and now the Burrow Strike comes out of the Papita. The Boulder Toss to follow up, and he's going to die. Brain Sap, just too much damage. They throw up the Clockwork into the air. They don't purge him down, and they won't be able to, as he is going to time out in his ultimate. But Dulce, he's not looking too healthy, although the 4-step away will keep him safe. Still a win for Not Today, although not as clear a win as the earlier fights.
Yeah, they're constantly getting these picks, and this time they lose a little bit more than previously. The Centaur did lose him, and the Mirana also did drop in that fight. Misko really wants back in, actually. Has a grip, thinking about using it, has a couple of heroes to back him up, but the Ice Path will slow him down as the jump in for the Faceless Void. Chronosphere now onto only Misko. Masoku's off to the side, and we'll get a Burrow Strike and a fullback, but the Macropyre is down, and the Bane is just going to burn, although slips away 30 HP, will try to positive himself back up to full, as Smash is going to go strong into the area. Ewo's going to jump in, blow up fullback, and still Smash is going after this dragon. He will kill him off. Ember Spirit's going to come back in, but Bane's already very healthy. Masoku getting another Burrow Strike onto LDS. Now they're going to Nightmare Pepita. Arrow point blank. There's not enough mana for the Sand Burrow Strike, so Pepita does jump out, but Smash still wreaking havoc in the back end. He did kill off the Scarlet Mage. Now he's going to look for Pepita. He's still very healthy. He has a couple bottle charges as well. There's the Stomp #1, and the Arrow, and the Burrow Strike, and the Double Edge. Everything being thrown the way of Pepita. They're just snowballing so hard right now. Their heroes are too tanky, and they have just enough mana to keep on going. Really, it's Masoku's mana that's the limiting factor in these engagements, but he has enough for another Burrow Strike, so they could keep on going after taking this tier 2 tower out. They're so tanky, they just don't die, and Isurus, they just can't afford to fight up against this. Their Ember Spirit needs more farm, as does their Faceless Void, but, I mean, they're just not getting any space. They have to fight.
Clockwork going to find a hook shot onto Mystico here, but the arrow is going to be lined up onto Dulce. He's not able to get the excuse me, Brain Sap off, and he might lose his life here. The concussive shot flies through. It's not going to be enough damage. It is going to slow him down, however. Now the Urn Charge going his way. He's going to drop the ultimate from the high ground, but Bane is still surviving. In the last 2 fights, it was 30, then 80, then now 50 HP that this Bane has survived just by the skin of his teeth. If he didn't pick up the Urn of Shadows and the Magic Wand, he would have died at least once, if not twice. Arrow going to be backtracked by fullback, but the stun still goes through. Now the split, he'll be able to drop another clap, and now the boulder on the fullback. Fullback isn't going anywhere. The Starfall comes through from the Rana to get them that kill. Now the grip on the Bane, or rather Jakiro from the Bane. Silence is going to turn that off, but now inside the base, the Brewmaster is just going to beat down Idera as the Centaur is falling pretty low down bottom just to a double-edged to creeps. There is going to be an arrow thrown out. The Cogs are going to bounce back Mystico, now trying to chase him down. It's not going to be enough as Smash picks himself up a double kill for cleaning up the Skywrath Mage. There is going to be a flare to get Vision of this Brewmaster, or rather, excuse me, Bane. Dulce 4-step forward on the Sand King, not going to be able to connect with that Burrow Strike, but all around the map just running circles around Isurus. Not Today are finding so much, and they might find even more as Dulce up in top. They don't throw any spells his way. Now with the Battery Assault, the long-range Burrow Strike going to clip him, and now the arrow follow-up as well as the Brain Sap. They're going to be able to get this Clockwork. There is going to be a nice Chronosphere onto 2. He didn't catch the tower, so Mihawk is going to take a decent amount of damage as well. Bash onto the Bane. Is it enough? Bane is still surviving 80 HP. He is going to die to the Ember Spirit. Epicenter being channeled. Doesn't do very much. Burrow Strike turning around onto Jakiro. Masoko, I think he just made a fatal mistake here as he's going to get picked off. Finally, those 2 supports are going to die, but still, Not Today get a lot out of this map, all said and done. Centaur's been happily farming throughout the entirety of that and is working well on its way towards the Shivas or Assault Cuirass.
This is getting very, very out of hand for Isurus. Upwards of 15k, upwards of 14k in golden experience respectively. And now Ewo, when he get caught by Pepita, doesn't realize that they have True Sight up here, so he's going to be very quickly brought down. Mihawk also not too healthy. He's going to turn around for a point blank arrow. He won't be in time though. They lose 4 the Not Today side, but Isurus, I mean, they mentioned that they are fighting against some pretty serious lag issues, which sucks, but really, I don't know how much it would actually matter. Like, so many times Not Today I've just jumped in and gotten a pick off before it would be even possible for a hero to defend, even with 0 ping. So, I mean, Isurus, they're just getting eaten alive one after another, and ping or not, it's not looking good for them. They need to slow this game down as best they can, but I don't think Not Today are going to let that happen. As soon as these heroes are back alive, as you said, Centaur Warrunner heading on to some big armor items in the future, and Mirana heading on to some big damage items, their raw value is still carrying through this game, and it will continue to do so as Smash is going to get jumped upon. He's going to instantly split out, though. Soku does jump for LDS on the bottom side of this fight. Now Brewmaster with the Aghanim Scepter is going to go to town. He gets 2 of his Brewlings caught in the cogs, however, slowing him down by quite a bit. He's going to throw the Skarath into the air and then bring him down into a Burrow Strike. Soku can get chunked down pretty hard by that Mystic Flare, but now they're setting up for Nadera off to the side. Mystico does have a grip. He's going to not use it. In fact, Evil's going to jump in. Has a double edge. This is going to be the death of the Chikiro. Now grip onto Dulce as Smash. Stuck awkwardly on the high ground, but Stampede is going to reinforce this Mystico Bane very quickly, and he's going to bring down the Clockwork. As the only one to survive from that one is Ember Spirit running off to the left, and Faceless Void is alive again, but Not Today. Just got a free 3 kills. They didn't really try that hard. They only had to use a split. It's looking pretty much like GG as their 0 side. They're getting doubled up as far as the kill score is concerned. And just look at the net worth. I mean, all this green on top, that's pretty much the name of this game.
Yeah, even the Bane is looking pretty good when you compare him to the side of Isurus. You have the highest farmer on their side is the Ember Spirit, who has nothing. He has a Wraithband, Bracer, Phase Boots, and 2,500 golds. They find a Chronosphere in mid on Iwa. Iwa is going to fall for this. He does get the double hoof stomp, and is he actually going to be able to make it out here? He pops his Blade Mail? No. One more Sleight of Fist is going to be enough. Wasn't able to blink out in time, which is unfortunate for the Centaur, but now they have the Bane here. They're going to Nightmare him up, and now fullback. Looks like he's going to be caught out by the Epicenter Burst Strike combo. Now Skarath Mage Mystic Flare is going to get the kill on the Sand King, but still, Faceless Void for Sand King. A reasonable trade as Ramaz is going to leap away. Clockwork chasing him down, 4-step forward. He's going to snag the Bane with a really nice Cogs and Macropyre onto him. I think the Bane is going to fall. He doesn't have another Brain Scepter to throw for enough time, and now jump in from Smash. He's going to be able to clap onto Dulce. Dulce is being chunked down by these crits. He'll throw the hook shot, but that's not going to win things for him. 3 for 2 is the trade, and I think that's about it. There's just not enough in the tank from both of these teams.
There's 2 alive still for Not, as Brewmaster does have his split very quickly refreshing, so he'll be able to use it up top on the Ember Spirit, though it's not really the target you really want to be splitting onto. If anyone shows their face up on top lane, Smash is going to, well, live up to his namesake and just destroy them. Arrow will fly, and Pepita, fortunately for him, is going to dodge it. If he got clipped by that, that would have been a very easy kill, and now he's going to get hazed up. Trying for the tower deny will not make it happen. It's another tower going the way of Not Today, whereas they themselves have not lost a single tower this game. Isurus, they're very quickly losing map control, and they got to worry about bottom lane as Centaur spent all his money on a Blade Mail. Would have rather liked to see a Shiva's Guard in this game, but ultimately I don't really think it matters since they're so damn far ahead. He could go for whatever the hell he wants, as Mirana Yasha into Maelstrom is now going to start to deliver some pretty serious right clicks after not choosing to not go for Phase Boots and Power Treads instead, so better synergy between those items. Iwo is spotted out, will get silenced, and I think he will be brought down. Yes, the Blade Mail will not protect him from that. Now Masoku going to get Force-Staffed out, however the double jump from Pita is going to kill off the Sand King, and now Mystico is in a little bit of trouble as fullback does jump in. Doesn't have a Chronosphere, however. The Moonlit Shadow going to protect him for now. Isurus, they're still fighting back. If they can get these pickoffs and then delay Not Today by just a little bit every single time, then ultimately the items are going to come up for the Faceless Void. But even if his items do come up, it's going to be a battle fear on him and on the Ember Spirit. So they're not going to actually be doing any damage for a very, very, very long time.
Yeah. It's not enough. They need a whole lot more, and a lot of the more is going to come out from the towers that eventually they might be able to take if they continuously fight back in these team fights, but they just don't have the gold that they need. Their Ember Spirit is not relevant at all with the items that he's going for. He's going to pick up a BKB, as you already said. It's just not enough. He needs damage items on top of it. He was pooling a lot of gold, and I was kind of half hoping for him to just go straight YOLO into some big damage item, but even then, he needs another 2 now on top of this BKB before he can actually do anything. And even with the BKB, that's not going to ensure his safety. The Mirana's right-clicking pretty darn hard, and the Bane Fiend's Grip is going to be the bane of his existence, because even with that BKB, Ember Spirit isn't tanky enough to actually go through any of the damage, especially not if he gets tagged by an arrow. The Mirana going to land one, score into Pepita. It's not the longest stun, and while the Flame Guard going to keep him reasonably safe, where's the backup? Pepita is still going to fall. No BKB is going to save you here, and now jump forward onto the Jakiro. They get the clap off. He's going to be slowing Nadera. I don't think he's going to be able to get out. Try for the TP, but it's too much damage. Double kill for Mihawk. That's going to be 2 freebies for Not Today, and it wasn't looking good. No, yeah, they're going to find LDS. Yep, just blown to shreds.
Fullback has resorted to creep cutting at this stage. He can't defend, so I guess that's one way to make some sort of a defense, but this looks like it's going to be at the very least top set of Raxes going the way of Not Today. They don't have the most damage to kill this off, but Smash does have his Assault Cuirass, so everyone's attacking a little bit faster, and the minus armor in the tower is also helping. There's no defense possibility at all for Isurus Gaming. There's not much of a creep wave here left, but they have Centaur, who's really tanky, and the Brewmaster, who also has a ton of armor. These two strength heroes have been driving this game the entire time for Not Today, and they will drive this right into the set of Raxes. Clockwork possibly looking for a hookshot initiation, but if he goes down, if he goes in, he will very quickly go down. Unless he gets a pick off onto Mihawk, and possibly he'll get the kill before he goes down, but Smash is going to focus on the range Rax. Very responsible of him. He'll take that one out, and now they can back off as Isurus, they're all alive and looking for a fight. Hookshot's going to be the opener for Dulce, but can he actually find an angle? Because Smash does still have a split, and he does have a Assault Cuirass. There's a Stampede. They're going to jump forward. Brewmaster ultimately does get silenced, but it doesn't really matter because he's still holding that Assault Cuirass, so they can't actually kill him off. Dulce is going to jump in and try anyway. Smash now has a split available to him. Will clap, and then split to follow up shortly. He's invisible, and now Fullback going to get gripped by Misko. Jump forward from Ewo. Double edges there. Stomp to follow up. Fullback, as well as Dulce, are both going to drop at the exact same time. Pita, the only one alive for Not Today, for Isurus rather, as Not Today are in full breach in Isurus' base. This is going to be the complete Raxing going the way of Not Today, and I think this might be just a little bit more. Mid lane is decently pushed towards the dire side, and Fullback is going to tap out. 27 minutes into the game, and it was an absolute bloodbath with that total of 59 effective kills in this game. So, very amusing game to say the least, but unfortunately Isurus getting the lower hand on every single one of those engagements.
Yeah, the early Blink Daggers coming out from the Sand King, Brewmaster, and Centaur completely overrun the game. That amount of mobility is just really hard to play up against, especially when you don't have anything to counteract that. They had a Clockwork, and he had a couple of good initiations, but it wasn't enough. It was usually just after the fights where he's actually able to clean things up. And, I don't know, despite the Sand King not having the best initiations, it was still enough, like, they were able to just chase forever. And there was nothing that Isurus could do about it. We'll have to see if they're going to make a comeback in Game 2. I think this is going to be on their home turf, the Brazilian servers, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll see.
Alright guys, we're going to rush over to game number 2. Don't go anywhere because there's more Dota to come, so just hold on tight.